Yusuf lived in a small village at the foot of a mountain. His house was made of clay. The night wind often seeped in through the cracks in the walls. His father was old. His mother was often ill. They lived off a herd of goats inherited from his father. You see Yusuf walking every morning before sunrise. He carried a wooden staff and followed the goats up the mountainside. His clothes were shabby. His shoes were torn. But his face was always calm. He held a strong belief that God was always close to those who surrendered to him. Yusuf chose a high place with a little grass. He sat under a tree and repeated the prayers his father had taught him. If the call to prayer could be heard from a distance, he stood. He performed ablution with water he kept in a small bag. He prayed on the rocky ground without feeling any strain. Every evening he returned to the village. He brought dry wood to heat the house. He helped his mother prepare dry bread. He made sure his father ate first. Yusuf always smiled at his parents. He said that poverty was no reason to give up. He believed that God would make a way for them. The villagers often mocked his dreams. They said that a shepherd would always be a shepherd. It was impossible to enter the nobleman's house. Joseph didn't answer. He simply lowered his head and repeated to himself that God raises whomever he wills. One day, as Joseph was leading his goats up the mountain, he saw an old man in the distance. He was simple in appearance. His eyes were sharp and his body strong. Joseph felt compelled to approach him. He opened his small bag and offered him a piece of bread. The old man accepted it and said that Joseph's heart was purer than gold. A patient person will rise in rank like climbing a ladder. These words resonated with Joseph. He looked up at the sky and felt something he had never felt before. It was as if a great promise awaited him, a promise he didn't yet understand. But he was confident that the time would come. Returning from the mountain that day, his steps felt lighter. A small hope grew in his chest. Joseph didn't know how his life would change, but his faith calmed him. That night, he sat by the fire. He looked at his father and mother and said to himself that he would watch over them until the end. A few days after his encounter with the old man on the mountain, Yusuf faced a test he never expected. That morning, he was herding goats to the east side of the village. He didn't notice that one of his goats had wandered off the path and into the village chief's field. The goat trampled the newly planted crops. The village chief saw this and was furious. He tugged at Yusuf's shirt and accused him of carelessness. Yusuf tried to explain, but the chief wouldn't listen. He demanded compensation. He chose Yusuf's best goat, the goat that had been a source of milk for his father and mother. Yusuf couldn't refuse. He handed over the goat with a heavy heart. He returned home with bitter news. His father was silent. His mother wept at the loss of their only source of sufficient food. Yusuf sat in a corner of the house. He calmed himself and said that God never closes the way for the honest. A few days later, Yusuf faced an even more difficult test. As the sun was about to set, he took a shortcut through the forest to get home faster. He didn't know that a hungry lion was lurking behind the trees. The lion appeared with a loud roar. Yusuf was startled. He ran and climbed the tree with trembling hands. From the top of a branch, he saw a lion pounce on his goats. Not a single one survived. The sound shattered his hopes. He waited until the lion left. He came down from the tree with weak knees. He returned home without bringing a single goat. His father and mother heard the news and immediately fell into sadness. Now their family has lost all sources of life. Yusuf sat in front of the house until night fell. He looked up at the sky and repeated the words he had heard from the old man. He said to himself that patience was the ladder that would lift him up. Even though his chest hurt, he chose to continue to believe. That night, he woke up in the dark. He didn't sleep. He asked God to provide a new path for his family. He promised not to give up, even though everything was lost. The next morning, Yusuf woke early. He found his parents still sitting in sorrow. The house felt quieter than usual. There was no sound of goats. There was no hope left. Yusuf decided to go to the market and look for any work that could feed his family. He walked along the cobblestone streets. When he arrived at the market, he stood for a long time, observing the vendors. Some were busy moving goods. Others were shouting out offers of goods. Yusuf approached a vendor who was struggling to clean an old warehouse behind his shop. The vendor said his warehouse was full of dust and dirt. He needed someone to clean it. Yusuf immediately accepted the offer. He grabbed a broom and got to work. He lifted old sacks. He swept until the floor was clear. He wiped the wooden shelves until their color returned to them. The vendor was surprised by the results. He gave Yusuf 2 dinars. For Yusuf, that amount meant a lot. He bought some food and took it home. His father and mother watched him arrive with sparkling eyes. For the first time after so many losses, they felt a small sense of hope. The next day, the merchant asked for help again. A caravan had just arrived from a distant city. Many heavy boxes had to be moved to the warehouse. Yusuf lifted them all without complaint. He worked until the afternoon. He arranged the boxes neatly. The merchant was increasingly impressed. He gave Yusuf 5 dinars in return. For several days, Yusuf worked in the shop every morning. His mind quickly grasped how the merchants worked. He helped count the goods. He managed incoming customers. He improved the way the shop served customers. Customers began to like the place because it was more orderly. The merchant noticed a significant change. He called Yusuf and offered him a position as shopkeeper. Yusuf accepted. Every day he arrived earlier than the other workers. He opened the shop. He arranged the goods. He counted the stock carefully. The business flourished quickly. The store's profits increased. The merchant gave Yusuf a gift of money he had never seen before. Yusuf returned home and placed all the money in the hands of his father and mother. They fell silent. Their faces changed from gloomy to bright. It was as if their lives had been revived. Yusuf's name began to be heard in the market. People called him a diligent and honest young man. They came to ask if he would help with their businesses. Yusuf remained loyal to the merchant who had given him the first chance. As night fell, Yusuf sat in front of his house and looked up at the sky. He remembered the words of the old man on the mountain. He felt the promised ladder coming into view. But he knew the journey was still long. Several months passed. The shop where Yusuf worked grew busier. The merchant who employed him saw the significant changes that had occurred since Yusuf began managing the business. One morning, the merchant summoned Yusuf and delivered important news. He wanted Yusuf to lead a trade caravan to Baghdad. Yusuf was surprised. He had never led a journey of that length before, but he realized that great opportunities don't come twice. He accepted the trust. He prepared a list of goods. He selected the men who would accompany him. He arranged for water and food supplies. He checked everything himself. The caravan departed a few days later. The journey to Baghdad was long. They traversed the hot desert. They passed through narrow valleys. They rested at small wells. Yusuf kept watch over all the merchandise, ensuring nothing was lost or damaged. He kept a regular schedule to keep everyone strong. Upon arriving in Baghdad, Yusuf found a market far busier than his village. Traders from many countries gathered there. He took his time buying goods. He compared quality. He negotiated prices calmly. He selected the best fabrics, spices, and metal tools. He recorded everything neatly. After all the goods were collected, he returned to lead the caravan home. The journey home was more arduous because of the heavy load, but Yusuf maintained a steady pace. He ensured all the horses and camels got enough rest. When they arrived at the village, the merchant shopkeeper was surprised to see the large profit generated from the trip. He had never made such a profit before. He called Yusuf into a small room at the back of the shop. He said that Yusuf was no longer fit to be a laborer. He offered Yusuf a business partner. Yusuf accepted gratefully. He knew that a major change had begun. He used his share to build a decent house for his father and mother. The house was sturdy. The walls were strong. The roof no longer leaked. His father smiled. His mother wept with joy. Once the house was built, Yusuf began to pay attention to the people around him. He gave food to poor neighbors. He prepared bread for widows and orphans. He helped unemployed young men. He felt that sustenance should flow and bring goodness. His business grew rapidly. His new caravan began shipping goods to other cities. His name became known to major merchants. They wanted to work with him because of his reputation for honesty and strong management. Yusuf built a vast trading network. He managed everything calmly and with discipline. Every night, he returned home and sat beside his father and mother. He didn't let his busy life change his heart. He always remembered that he had lost everything. He wanted to live without forgetting that time. One afternoon, as Yusuf was arranging the goods in his shop, an old man walked in with weak steps. His clothes were shabby, his face pale. He asked for food, holding back tears. Yusuf stared at him intently. He recognized the man. He was the village chief who had once taken his best goat. The man lowered his head. He said that his life had been ruined after making many bad decisions. He had lost his land, his possessions, and he had no family to help him. He had come not to demand anything. He simply wanted to apologize for hurting Yusuf. Yusuf was silent for a moment. He remembered the time when he had stood in the field, terrified. He remembered the grief of his father and mother when the best goat was lost. All of that was still vivid in his memory. But he knew that revenge brings no good to anyone. Yusuf stood and took the old man's hand. He invited him to sit down. He asked one of his workers to bring him a warm meal. He said that he had forgiven the past incident. The old man wept, not expecting such an answer. After the man ate, Yusuf gave him some money to start a small business. He wanted the man to live a life of honor again. Market people witnessed this and spoke of Yusuf's magnanimity. They said that wealth had not changed him. Time passed. Yusuf's business grew. He shipped goods to many cities. He opened a large warehouse. He employed people who had previously lived in hardship. Many young men came to learn from him. Yusuf taught them how to trade honestly. He taught them the importance of hard work and a pure heart. Yusuf continued to eat with his workers. He stood when old people entered his shop. He continued to prioritize the poor. He felt that wealth was a trust. He was merely a guardian. He must use it for good. One night, Yusuf sat alone in his yard. The night breeze blew softly. He looked up at the sky and remembered his life's journey. He remembered the lost goats. He remembered his mother's tears. He remembered the barn he cleaned. He remembered the long journey to Baghdad. He remembered every step that had once frightened him. All of it was now part of him. He realized that every trial brought a new direction. Every loss opened another door. He understood that his sincerity had shaped his life's path. Joseph bowed his head and prayed briefly. He asked for his heart to remain steadfast. He wanted to continue to benefit others. He wanted to preserve the goodness God had given him. The next morning, Joseph awoke with the same enthusiasm as when he was a little shepherd. He left the house with a serene smile. His life was now broad, but his heart remained simple. His story became an example for the entire village. Children grew up hearing about his journey. That was how Joseph reached the pinnacle of success. Not through violence, not through cunning. He achieved it with patience and faith. His journey is proof that great change can come from a heart that never gives up.